Hello, everyone. My name is Moita, and we are back online for the fourth keynote of today. We have with us the president of IFES, the International Federation of Engineering Education Societies, a federation of which BEST is also a founding member. Dr. Ramiro Jordan is a scientist, innovator, educator, and entrepreneur. He's a professor at the University of New Mexico and is currently the Associate Dean of Engineering for International Programs. He is a dedicated educator, actively creating educational infrastructure in academic institutions worldwide with emphasis on the culture of quality. He is driving innovative curricular development programs such as peace engineering. To introduce us to this concept of peace engineering and its importance, I want to welcome Professor Ramiro Jordan.
Thank you so much for this invitation. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody. I hope I can challenge you with this new concept. And I guess I'll go and share the screen and put my slides. Can you see my slides? Perfect. Thank you. So let me start by saying this is something that we launched in November 2018. We organized the first World Conference on Peace Engineering. This is pretty much the agenda that I have for you. I'll tell you where I live, which is called New Mexico, why peace engineering, a little bit about circular economy that I'm sure everybody has been introduced to. Then a major reset that everybody is living through that. So I broke it into before COVID and my presentation after COVID, okay? So AC is challenges, something that we need to deal with, the symmetry of information, which is very critical. Then looking at macro models, really putting an emphasis on the unintended consequences and the networks that we all live in networks now. And our challenge now, I think it is to flatten the climate change curve. So let's start before COVID. So this is where I live. We have problems in the US, explaining where New Mexico is. In the US, people still don't know that New Mexico is part of the US. So I always have to put this map. And now there's an interesting map because of COVID, which is on the top left. And I always use this slide to tell people that, yes, we are in the US, is the only license plate that carries New Mexico, USA, and we're not new and we're not Mexico. So what started in New Mexico? Well, the birth of big science, and this is shocking, and but it's reality, okay? So we have major labs here, Los Alamos, Sandia. This is where Microsoft started. I'm sure you know what MATLAB is all about. Jeff Bezos was born here, and several other companies. So it's a very tech savvy and state, very poor, and is the only bilingual state in the state in New Mexico, in the U.S. And we have 22 different pueblos, ethnic groups. So very challenging, and the highest capita of scientists per capita. So I took this image from this book that I'm sure you're aware of. It's scary what happened here in New Mexico. Okay, we have changed the course of history, but at the same time, we can end history with what was developed here. And it was not only American scientists, this was a global effort. So why peace engineering? Because we want to challenge the mindset of people. It's about peace. It's about addressing the global challenges. So we organized the first global conference where we had over people from over 44 countries, over 300 institutions, etc. Very challenging, especially put yourself in the context of New Mexico, where we have these labs, and the labs embrace this, and they really like, because it's about peace. So some early work was done by Professor Vesseline and Richard Bowen. They organized in 2003, 2004, small workshops and started talking about peace engineering. And they wrote a really good book. And since then, we had many, many contributions. And of course, we're trying to define what peace engineering is all about, okay? So when we organized the event, we challenged people to rethink what they're doing in engineering, education, and research, and entrepreneurship, and innovation. What is peace engineering? So we wrote a thought-provoking paper, and I can share with you. And in that paper, we already started identifying what it means, peace engineering. It's about peacekeeping, peacemaking, peace building. It's about system level thinking. Can peace be a profit center? Of course, we can develop peace technology. Let's innovate together. It's transdisciplinary. It's about sustainability. It's about educating the new global citizen, the new global engineer. And again, this keeps coming up, symmetry of information. If we all have access to the same information, then we can have a great dialogue. If it's asymmetric, then we got problems. That's where conflict comes in. So peace engineering said, okay, we need to measure. Can we measure peace? Can we come up with metrics? Can we come up with data models? Can we do data analytics? I think we can. I'm not going to go to this definition. I submitted this for you to have. It'll be on the website. But the important thing that I want to stress here, that peace engineering is a new disruptive mindset needed to address global challenges. Right off the bat, I want to say global challenges have no borders. They don't care about flags or national anthems. We have a global challenge, which is the COVID. Does it respect borders? I don't think so, right? Should we solve the problem by locking ourselves in every country and not sharing information? I don't think so. So, and the other challenge that I have for you is, what do you think peace engineering means to you? Okay, so why did we do this conference? Why did we organize? Because we have the United Nations 70 SDGs. We have in the US, we have the National Academy of Engineering challenges that they overlap. Something that I've been pushing for many years in the organization I created, ISTEC, is one planet, one environment, one chance, okay? And then everybody talks about Industry 4.0. What does that mean? And can we break barriers? So when I created ISTEC in 1990, we used the language of science and technology to collaborate. Politicians cannot change math, nor physics, nor chemistry. Aren't we lucky? And then again, we have to address the issue of asymmetry of information. So circular economy. This is a pretty nice chart. And the challenge that I have with my colleagues is, are we aware of it? Are we educating? And the other question is, shoot, are we learning about it? I mean, we need to walk the talk. So this is a diagram that I use to talk about peace engineering and circular economy. Every time when we teach, we educate people, especially in engineering and the sciences. We like to innovate. We do problem solvings. Every time we innovate, we solve something, we are going to do some damage. Okay, we need to be aware of that, and we need to fix it, and we need to bring it back into the classroom. This is the feedback loop. Everything has been linear, so in most of the models I've seen is linear, goes from left to right. We don't close the loop. Okay, examples. This was a study being carried out in the Amazon. Amazon has many countries share the Amazon: Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Venezuela, Bolivia. And they were doing a study on these animals, leopards, if you can see them, okay? But the politicians decided to open the land for cattle, soybean. They tried to make that system linear. Go clear the land, burn the land, it's yours, and I'll give you access to the land. So I was born in Bolivia, so I'm using the example of Bolivia, and I also lived in Brazil. So the question that I have for you is, these forest fires are limited to those borders of those countries. As the smoke reach other parts of the world, why can't other countries have some saying in what these other countries are doing with burning the Amazon? Question for everybody. I love this girl. She is beginning to change everybody. And I wish she can change my president. So I love this image. Something that is very positive too is that, and I feel sorry that we are leaving behind a world that is messed up, and we're leaving this to you guys, the youth, Generation Z. I think we can work together and take ownership of all these grand challenges and solve them. More challenges. Okay, let's talk about Facebook. I'm going to be honest with you. I never have created a Facebook account because I knew they were going to manipulate my information. Everybody's into AI, machine learning. It's interesting. It would be okay if you are the owner of your data. And I take my hat off for Europe. But in most of the countries, the data is owned by the corporations and they can manipulate you to the point that in this country, the US, democracy is at risk. It's for sale. Okay. We have challenges with the refugee. We have challenges with justice. We have challenges with transparency. We have a big challenge of the great divide, rich and the poor. Are these engineering issues? I think they are. Can we measure this? Yes, we can. Can we do analysis on all this? Yes, we can. Can we predict what's going to happen? Yes, we can. I was in Chile when this happened. This is Chile. Less than 1% of the population controls over 50% of the GDP. You tell me what that entails. Like I said, I was born in Bolivia. Fraud, because some people want to keep power corrupts. We need to rotate. But people think that once they're in power, they can become close to gods. And that cannot happen. So corruption, transparency. And this is in Lebanon. These are just snapshots of last year. I started in November 2018. I'm just summarizing 2019. Okay. And there's a lot more. Okay. The other news we got from the United Nations is the rate of extinction. We're killing our environment at an exponential rate. That curve is similar to the COVID, isn't it? Exponential functions. I'm an electrical engineer. I like systems and systems. I don't like exponential functions because they blow up. I need to control those. Here's other challenges that have no borders. We're all on this together. Aporophobia, rejection to the poor. Racism, hey, it's hot right now in the US. Accountability, diversity, justice, sexual orientation, all of these are challenges that we all face, and they're independent of your national anthem and flag. Here are the SDGs and the grand challenges by the National Academy of Engineering for the US. They're linked, okay? They've been defined. I think this is a great, noble cause. We also jump into this, but I think we need to do more from an engineering point of view. So everybody have seen these charts about policies, markets, IP, education, sustained growth. The important topic for me is social responsibility. We always say, oh, let the government do it. Oh, it's the corporations will do it. I think social responsibility has to start at home with us. I'm responsible for contaminating the water, how much waste I generate. how much I contaminate the air by driving a car. So now we hit after COVID. This is what happened. Somebody pressed the reset button. Okay. It's not just about the virus. The whole world needs to change. We need to change everything, rethink everything, reimagine everything that surrounds us. And we need to be aware what is around the corner. That is somebody going to come up with an answer? I don't think so. This is early March. I started tracking. This is today. And it's growing. And this is making us rethink everything. So all of a sudden, we are flying as we are building. Universities got sucked into online. We've been talking about for years about online education, but all of a sudden we got sucked in. Now you got to do it. But it's not only on education. Every other area in politics, every discipline has been sucked in. And again, I keep mentioning now the new concept, open science. If we're going to solve global challenges, we need to have open science, access to information. It has to be symmetric. And also an invitation to everybody. We need champions, not leaders. We got to walk our talk. You have to take ownership and do things. Okay. This is what we're living here in this country. Okay. You tell me what's happening. We're trying to make sense out of what we're living here. This is recently racism. So their system needs to be thought about. We need to really start thinking about what is going on. All models need to be modernized. So does the 17 SDGs. We need to now, those 17 SDGs, we need to measure, we need to analyze, we have to design for it, and we need to implement. These 7 SDGs have no borders. So we need a different way of thinking. It's not about engineering. Peace engineering, let me say it here, and I should have said it at the beginning, is not about engineers. It's about re-engineering every existing discipline and then create new disciplines to address the global challenges. So what does the peace engineering mean to you? This is what I use, and this is what I've been doing in my class. I look at different companies. I want my students to look at different companies, even when they have to buy toilet paper, and see which toilet paper contaminates the less. Everybody's into beef. Look what beef is. For 1 kilo beef, I need to waste 15,000 liters of water, and so on. I'm sure you've been doing this, and I take my hat if you've been doing this. So I challenge in every class, I teach senior design, to look at all these different corporations or areas of industry, and look at the unintended consequences. What's the impact on the environment? And now, because of COVID, we launched with many partner universities worldwide, and students need something to do. We want them to look at their existing networks, whether they're resilient or not, whether the healthcare network is working, whether security is working, whether the water network is working. So, and measure that, and so we can tabulate and analyze and predict. So can we measure peace? Yes, we can. I work with in Colombia, and they can measure empathy, anger, trust, conflict, rejection, can be measured. And we can quantify, we can do engineering, we can do science. It's about science. Can we innovate? Of course we can. This is why peace technology is important. Oops. So these are some of the results, some of the organizations that we work with. Global Peace Index from Australia, organized workshops in Colombia so we can measure. All these blobs that you see there, we're analyzing the data, and we're doing semantic analysis to try to determine what sticks out, where people are more focusing. So the CIMA positive peace data, it's more on violence and stability. The peace data standard talks more about the people talking about peace. CIMA database about conflict, build. I mean, we're doing this with a lot of students, and we're taking data from many organizations that are in that chart. At UNM, we created the Y Lab. W, what do engineers do? H, how the heck do you do that? And why is it that I have to take this class? Get to work now. Measure. So we have created a peace engineering minor at the University of New Mexico in partnership with many other universities, Drexel, UC Boulder, Stanford, Purdue, Georgia Tech, USC, and we invite your institutions to team up. We give a certificate, we give credit. Other universities will do something different, but we need to bring the context down to earth. We need to land it. I want my students to learn what's happening in Ghana, in South Africa, in Spain, in China. We need to be aware of the world, what's happening, and develop projects. So we have senior design projects that our community, they have to touch base. And our labs, we're opening the labs to be virtual so we can share. So these are topics that we have identified that we invite people to lecture on. And by these topics have a project associated where we can measure. We can do the metrics, we can do the data analytics, and that feeds back into the 17 SDGs. And I think the challenge is to flatten the climate change. So we need to keep our eye on the ball. There's no time to lose. This is no game. We need to take ownership. I already said what peace engineering is. And we can only do this if information is symmetric. We all have access. If it's asymmetric, we have conflict. So open science is very important, having access to repositories, and that will keep us transparent. And with this, I end. I want to thank everybody once again, and I think I took a lot of time.
Thank you very much, Professor, for this mind-blowing presentation. I'm sure it was very interesting and relevant for many of us as students. Before getting to the questions, I just want to remind our audience that you can still ask questions in the Facebook and YouTube stream. We are a bit short on time indeed, but since we don't have a question right after, we might prolong it for a couple of minutes. So I'll get back to the questions. The first one I have is, how can we get engineers to be more focused on these social challenges that you talked about rather than business ones?
I would love to share with you those topics that we're identifying. This is a collection of universities identifying these topics. It's not just me. It's a group of universities, colleagues, that we're identifying those key topics that can be taught and shared by everybody, and create a bunch of case studies so we can learn from case studies and share context. Context is very important, and we don't teach that, because a solution in Uganda is not the same solution in Spain or in the US. So the context in engineering has to be very important, and always think about the unintended consequences, the impact you're going to have on the environment and your community, the network, etc.
So also related to that, and another question that was sent to us by the audience, do we need to change somehow our engineering education for peace engineering? And what should be these main changes?
I think the best, what we should do is these topics that I will share with you that we're identifying that need to be brought down to the classroom. So these topics are, the intention is to bring it down to the classroom. So we cannot add more classes because it's impossible. But if, for instance, if you take 1 hour on every course that you take throughout your career and talk about just one topic, that will have a tremendous impact. It doesn't mean that you have to change the entire career. Just allow for 1 class period or 2 class periods in a semester, and have somebody come and talk and open the minds to the students about a specific topic. That's the idea of these topics that we have identified. This is we want to enhance the 17 SDGs by topics and bringing hands-on engineering perspective to it.
Mhm. Right. We will also ask you to share those with us so that we can disseminate to our audience and to our network. And let me get to one other question. What are, in your opinion, the main lessons we have learned after the recent crisis around the globe as engineers and future engineers?
That we're all in this together. Okay, this is what the virus said. This is one planet, one environment, one chance. We don't have a second chance. So we're in this together. That's the punchline.
That's very true. So maybe, um, so this peace engineering concept and a lot of things that you talked about are also related to politics and government decisions. How can the university and engineers, as well as engineering students, make a change?
Um, like I said, first of all, is talk about these topics in class. And then what I would challenge every university is to invite these leaders, political leaders, company leaders to the university and say, okay, address these issues in front of us. Tell us, okay? Have them part of the discussion. Bring them into the dialogue. We need to partner more closely with industry, with government. They're isolated. Okay, industry needs us because we're producing the workforce for them to hire. They need to get involved with education at the same time. So we're in this together. We're not separate anymore.
Um, all right. I also wanted to ask you a bit the Peace Engineering Consortium, about which IFES is part of, but I think we are out of time now, so I will just mention that it exists for our audience also to check. Um, as you saw, the work that IFES and other organizations worldwide are doing are very important to facing the challenges. And I just want to thank you very much, Professor Ramiro Jordan. It was a pleasure having you here. We'll have now a 30 minutes break, and we'll be back in half an hour for a panel discussion about European universities beyond the pandemic. We will have Friedrich Georgson from CEFI, Frank Gillan from EIT No Energy, and Alfredo Soeiro, who already joined us earlier for a presentation about online assessment. So I hope to see you there, and thank you once again, Professor, for your very, very interesting presentation.
Thank you, and stay safe. All the best.
Thank you very much.